In this demo of the week, we're going to be looking at creating an outer air enclosure on a model. And one of the things we're going to focus on are fixing some of the imperfections in a model that can get in the way from creating a nice, robust outer air enclosure around a model. Two things we're going to focus on specifically are repairing a model to get a robust solid, and also removing any internal geometries which might get in the way of creating that outer air enclosure around the part. And for this, we're going to be using two main tools. One is going to be our repair tools to put this into a nice solid model, and the other will be our volume extract tool and prepare to remove the internal volume before creating it. So in this case, we're looking at a submersible model, and again, we notice that there's a lot of surfaces in the tree. So what we've done is made a suite of repair tools that let you easily create a solid model from a collection of surfaces. Now, the first tool I always use and I love is Stitch. What Stitch does is it finds different regions where the surfaces are touching or overlapping and allows you to combine them or merge them into a nice solid model. Now, in this case, we have a lot of different domains here, like the rudders, like our tail, and our main body, and it tells us we have 20 areas. So hitting the check mark will automatically merge these into 20 different sections. And ideally, we have solids at the end of this. If we don't, that means we have to use our gaps tool or missing faces to patch in the rest of these areas on the design. Now you'll notice is what I typically do is I'll run gaps next. And what gaps does is it search for edges that are really close to each other where they should be smashed into one single edge. So at the end of this, it's just about finishing the repair job. And you'll notice that we have a few solids in the tree and one surface. So like I said, we'll need to run gaps or missing faces to detect these areas. Now if we find that there's a gap on the model, let's zoom to fit to see where it is. And in this case, you can see here that we have the little surfaces that are here, and it thinks that we want to smash these edges together into a new surface. What I typically use for this is a spell check type thought process. It thinks that we want to take these and smash these edges together, but I can see that there's a nice little opening on each side. So instead, I'll switch to missing faces because this is more like a missing face that I want to patch in. So instead of changing our options to change the filter, I'll simply select the edges and put a new face in. Select the edges, put a new face in. So you can always use the automated approach or manually choose how you'd like to fix these problems. And while we're here, these small faces might get in the way of the mesh. So a lot of times, I'll go and simply split faces up on the design so I can then merge them together. I like split face because you can split multiple faces at the same time and use our prepare tools or repair tools such as merge face to grab the geometry you want to remove and merge it into one single face. So that'll remove a strong mesh concentration there. Now the next thing I'd like to do is remove the interior of the submersible before creating the outer air enclosure. So one thing I want to do is use our volume extract tool. Volume extract normally is used to create an inner air domain inside of a part by simply choosing the faces that are going to cap this area and defining what the inside of the model is. We can go through and create that interior air volume. But what people don't realize is we can also merge that interior air volume with the outer body of the part. So instead of creating that internal domain, it merges that with the external domain, creating one solid with no internals that are there. So now if we want to create that enclosure on the part, we don't have to worry about trimming away and removing that area later on. So I hope you've seen some of the different cleanup tools we can use around a model to create a nice outer air enclosure. In this case, we repaired the model to make sure that it was going to be a watertight solid, and then we removed the interior with the volume extract tool.